Good morning, traders. Today is Thursday, May 19th. My name is Charles, and this is the Pirate Traders live stream. All right, well, what do we have going on in the market? Just right out the gate, things are looking a little bearish this morning. What happened yesterday was, the day before last, the market tried to look above this previous balance area that we had over here. And it failed to break out to the upside. So the same way when it looked below down here on the 12th and failed to break out, it headed right back up to the opposite end, failing to break out yesterday to the upside and pulling back down into the balance area, caused the market to sell off to the opposite end of balance, and then we got new sellers piling on, which took the market lower. That is bearish, as a breakout of balance once again. It is worth noting that the overnight inventory is net short and that we will have a gap down this morning. So that is a sign that the momentum at the moment is to the downside. There is still bearish momentum. I also make note of the fact that the overnight low is really close to the low from 512, which indicates that that's probably weak buyers down there. So there's a lot of reasons for the market to test lower prices. The breakout of balance, which is bearish for a move lower. Balance leads to excess. You got the gap down, which is bearish. And then you got the weak low in the overnight, which is bearish. So right out the gate, there's a lot of things to be bearish about this morning. So the first order of business when the market opens in a couple minutes here will be trying to fill the gap from wherever we open to yesterday's low, which is at 39.08. So the market will be looking to try to push up and fill that gap. If we get resistance at the gap and the market can't get back up into yesterday's range, or the market fails to completely fill the gap and immediately starts to head lower, either one of those scenarios is called a gap and go, which is a bearish signal. It's about as bearish as you can get. With the combination of the breakout from balance and a gap and go, I would say we're certainly going to test the overnight low and see if we can bring in support there once again in that same area where we did on the 12th. So to me, the highest probability play for today will likely be either further downside continuation or sideways, kind of almost in the overnight range. If they can get back up into balance today, let's say they fill the gap, they start to push up into yesterday's range. I'm looking for resistance in this little node right around the closing price, 39.24-ish. I'm looking for resistance there. If they get through that, then I'm looking for a repair of these two weak references and then looking to see what happens when we get back to the balance area low. So the only thing that will really get me bullish is if the market can get back up into that balance area once again. Otherwise, I think the best it'll probably do today is a repair of these weak references and then just go sideways in this range. And of course, with the gap down, we could also just get further selling today. So we'll have to see how they handle this gap in 1 minute. If you have not yet, please smash that thumbs up button. Really helps out the channel. The market is open. Also worth noting, this weak reference we left behind on the 12th is still in need of repair. Okay, so the market's starting to fill the gap here. Looks like we almost got about half the gap filled. If they fail to completely fill it, if they fail to get to yesterday's low, that would be bearish for continuation to the downside. Or if they get to yesterday's low and then get resistance there, that would be bearish as well. And it's worth noting we have bad taper on the low and a weak reference, which is like a little magnet tugging on price. Hello, Scooball. David Glass in the house. Rev is here. Amir, good morning to you. Hustler Forever, back with us. Daniel is here. Hustler Forever, add pressure to that like button. Yes, please. MW, good morning to you. Eldora, welcome. FRM in the house. Greg H is back with us. Giles is here. Philip, good morning to you. Daniel, looks like we will open below yesterday's close again. Speaking of which, gap filled right there. So now the question is, do sellers start to pile on at yesterday's low? Can they keep these ticks from getting above the zero line? All right, looks like resistance. So I am bearish as long as we stay below yesterday's close price at 39.24. Just feel like this low looks weak to me. And with resistance building up in here, we may get one push up into yesterday's range. But I think probably there's some bears waiting. Waiting to pounce. Man, that advance reverse decliner is crazy. Look at that big candle. All right, so we're looking for resistance here in this little node right around 22.23. All right, well, we got good taper on the high. Doesn't mean it's the high of the day, but that if it is, it's got good taper. And we are testing yesterday's low for support now. What was resistance? Does it become support? If that breaks, I'd be looking for a move to head down and repair the weak M period low we left behind on the 12th at 85. All right, so once again, testing that support at yesterday's low. If that breaks, I am bearish for us to head back down through the open. There she goes. So to me, it doesn't really feel that bearish. It doesn't feel like gap and go type of bearish here. Probably rotational day. But it certainly does feel bearish. And again, I'll be back to neutral if we get above yesterday's closing price. All right, so getting through half back, which was some potential support there. Also bearish to see. So right now we're looking for the market to head back down through the opening price and then repair this weak M period low and test some support in this area just below there, between like 73 and 82. Looking for support where they found it in the overnight. Feels like it's going to be a rotational day inside the overnight range. So I'm not super bearish. But I don't think the auction is through to the downside. John Lash, good morning to you. Johnny Be Good, good to have you. Ronald, good morning to you. Overlord, good morning and welcome. The Shaw is here. Good morning to you. Dean in the house. Arthur, welcome. Cyrus is here. Boss Man. Thank you for the hype about the like. You don't want to have to walk that plank. Xavier, good morning to you. Jack, good morning. Man, am I that far behind? Scooball, half gap fill? Oh, yeah. Full gap fill. Scott, good morning to you. T-Bay in the house. Scott, someone said gap and go. Yeah, it's not quite a gap and go, and it doesn't quite have that feeling, that like momentum. They're desperate to sell it kind of feeling. But yeah, it's bearish. No doubt about it. Nor Auto Trader, good morning to you. Ederson, welcome. Bob in the house. Alex is back with us. Welcome. Anita, good morning. Scooball NQ a little bullish? Question mark. Let's go take a look at the Q. Yeah, I mean, they got above their overnight high. That was a little bit bullish. Looks like their low was also weak on the 12th. So they may need to repair that as well. And I would look for support in 11,790 area on the Q. Okay, so there we go, passing back through the opening price here today. That's a little bit bearish to see. That's the repair of that weak M low. So now we'll see, do we get some support in this area where the overnight had it? JB, good morning to you. Being Prosperous, good morning. Welcome. Rug Z is here. Good to see you. Scoopball, if we break the opening, we can get some liquidation. Yeah, and I would say furthermore, if this support breaks, down she goes. It's starting to look like a trend day. Volume node, push lower, volume node, push lower, volume node. Oh, I posted this chart yesterday. I thought it was funny. I was looking at the daily. If you inverse the S&P right now, it's a beautiful buy signal. That is the daily S&P inversed. Looks like gorgeous accumulation and plenty of upside potential. All right, so if you just look over here at this node of volume, you can see this is sort of what's acting as support right now for the market. If this breaks, it increases the odds that we're testing the low from the 12th, which is made weak by this overnight low as well. So this is the bull's last chance to defend here. Being prosperous, happy to hear it, man. Thanks for letting me know. All right, well, if we get back above half back, just above price here at 38.97, I will go back to a neutral stance, as that would be a sign to me that the market may just want to go sideways for a while here. But as long as we stay below that half back, I think we're still heading lower. And like I said, we'll get a break of this support here, and we'll be heading down to that low from the 12th. All right, back to neutral. They're above half back. It would appear some chop is in order. I will get bearish once again if we break the A period low. Nitin, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All right, now that we've printed the B period, we've pulled the value area down to the low of the day. That slightly increases the odds. They need some more excess to the downside. Of course, breaking that node right there would increase the odds of a trade lower. But right now, it feels like we're still just getting some two-sided trade. Getting some chop. Looking for resistance once again at yesterday's low. 39.08. Giles, thank you kindly. Always love the feedback on the e-course. All right, well, they got themselves some two-sided trade. So now let's see what happens when they test yesterday's low once again. Also looks like the NQ is testing that 20 moving average on the 15-minute candles. It acted as resistance before. Will it once again? So NQ looking bullish here out of nowhere. Well, not bullish, but less bearish. They created a poor high, so that increases the odds they're going to get a repair, which would begin the process of the initial balance to the upside. And so the question becomes, do they get resistance and stay below that balance area low? 12.084. Getting back up into balance would be bullish. But until then, you assume there's going to be resistance waiting in here and some rotation. ES also looking good. Getting back up into yesterday's range. So same as I said earlier this morning, if they can get through 39.24, I think they target these weak references above at 31 and 42. And I also just assume rotation sideways unless we get back into the balance area up at 52. DM, what's your take on the single prints from yesterday? Yeah, it's a great point. We had a triple distribution yesterday, which is not something that we commonly get in the market. Let me just expand the day out here. So you basically consider from the base of the single prints, you consider it a new day. So it's like this first set was 1 day. That was a trending day lower. The second set right here was another trend day lower. And then the third set down here, the third distribution, that is another trend day lower. So basically, it's a sign that there was a lot of momentum yesterday in the market and that we may need some balance. Instead of treating it like we had 1 day of excess, we could treat it like we had 3 days of excess. So that may lead to some balance, which is why I say, the likelihood of rotation today is decently high. Give the market a chance to digest what happened yesterday. Also got the monthly options expiry tomorrow. So sometimes that has an effect as well. They don't like the market to be too volatile going into that. Crypto Mojo Life, good morning to you. Welcome. Crypto Mojo says, this is the first time live with you. Caught you over at the Trade Vets with Brad. I'm excited to dive in with you and learn. Well, feel free to ask any questions. I often forget that this looks like the Matrix to people who it's new to them. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask. DM, thank you for that. The gambler in me feels they get revisited. Yeah, if you're talking about the single prints. They are always like a magnet to pull price back to backfill them. And there's a lot of weakness, yesterday left behind. But that is also a sign of momentum. So they want to get repaired, but it doesn't have to be today. Thank you, Jason. We got 168 people hanging out, 91 likes. What's with the 70 of you that don't like me? What did I ever do to you? Hey, that got me 10 pity likes. Whoop, whoop. David, the chart is a TPO daily. What platform is it? So it's a TPO chart, or what we call a market profile chart. The software I use is called Window Trader. It's window spelled without a W at the end. But you can use any market profile software anywhere. You don't need this particular type. And basically what you're looking at here, this profile that you see right here is today's profile. The one in light blue over here is the overnight from last night. And then this one is yesterday's profile. And each of the letters, each of the TPOs represents a 30-minute time period. And the Chop Fest continues. Crypto Mojo Life, it absolutely looks like the Matrix. I am honestly not even sure where to begin asking questions. Do you have a resource that I can check out as an introduction? I have an e-course that's available on my website that costs like $100. That has all the information you would need to start learning. But if you're looking for something a little bit simpler, you can head to windowtrader.com. I don't even know if that is their website. Apparently not. Yeah, windowtrader.com. And then just head down to, I think, market profile. Yeah, market profile, and click on glossary right here. And this has all the terms and everything. So if you just want a quick explanation, that's a good place to start. Windowtrader.com. And then at the bottom, market profile glossary. Just in on the news wire, China spends special envoy to Brussels. Francis S. Dear sir, your podcast with Corbs led me to your site. Thank you for sharing. My pleasure, brother. I'm happy to. From your experience, what quantitative method you use to gauge what type of day, trending, neutral, normal? Well, it's a little bit too complicated to explain simplistically, because it's really a combination of like a lot of different factors that are all put together. So, for example, this morning, seeing that yesterday we broke out of balance, right? We had a balance area up here, breaking out of that to the downside. That tells me we're likely to go down, right? Seeing that the value area is overlapping to lower, that also tells me we're likely to go either sideways or down. The fact that we had a gap in the morning, a gap down, that told me that we were likely to go lower. But then when we did finally sell off, right? Well, first off, we had that push back where we filled the gap, and then we had a little more buying up here than I would have expected. And if you recall, when we were up there, I mentioned it. I was like, this isn't that bearish, really. And then when we had that one push lower, we instantly found support at the first possible location. So that told me, you know what, maybe it's not that bearish. Maybe it's more just neutral and the market needs to go sideways for a little bit. So it's what I'm doing is like compiling pieces of data on top of each other and then creating what I believe based on that information is the highest probability outcome. And that's how I choose the banners. Oh, speaking of Brad, there he is. The trade vet's in the house. Good morning. Good to see you. He says, guess we're not going to get an easy down day like yesterday. I do not think so. I also kind of feel like we could break pretty hard either way outside of this range. Like if we break this low, we can definitely head down to test the low from the 12th. And if we break the closing price from yesterday, we'll likely head up to repair these weak references. But it still feels like a sideways day once we do. Thank you guys so much for all these e-course recommendations this morning. Appreciate you. Neil, I assume the orange profile on the left is the volume. How many days going back? It's a great question. I actually have to look right now. I generally just try to have some data there from before, so however far back I have to go. But right now I have it at 90 days. And that is, of course, cumulative of the last 90 days. Crypto Mojo, do you only stream at the open? No, sir. I stream all day. So I do the first hour here at the open, and then I have a membership group you can join. There's a link in the description. Join the brigade. And then you can watch the live stream for the rest of the day. $10 a month. The sales pitch I always give is, do you think in an entire month I could say one single thing that could make you get a single tick of profit? Because it's less than one tick on the ES. Okay, so for the NQ here, like I said, we got some resistance here in this node and some resistance here in this node. And we've got this set of single prints that need backfilling to about 12,057. But I remain pretty neutral on the market unless it can get above 12,084. Get back into that balance area from yesterday. Otherwise, I assume we're going to just get chop. Being prosperous, is it possible for you to start 5 to 10 minutes earlier to summarize the action of the previous trading session and overnight auction? It would be a great review. I can try. No promises. Every time I tried it to get in early, it always ends up making me later. The trade vet. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation yesterday, by the way. We do have to do that again. Okay, multiple requests coming in for an earlier start. I guess I will have to try. Okay, with the fact that we left that poor high behind, we assume this is likely just to push away from the poor high. And the fact that they are weak sellers up there, they'll likely take profits. And the market will come back to repair that poor high. As we're getting ready to print the C period here in about 2 minutes, if they do come up here and they pop that C period above the B period high, that would be bullish to me, to at the very least repair these weak references above. So 39.31 and then 39.42, and then look for resistance there. But until we get up there and repair that poor high, it's still pretty neutral. As this is just a good old-fashioned two-sided auction. Equal buyers and sellers. Being prosperous. Yeah, let's take a look at the Q real quick. Okay, so for the NQ, looking above, you got resistance at 12.030. But then above that, you got a set of single prints that need to backfill to 12.054. So you'll look for resistance there as well. And then you basically the balance area low, you'd call that 12.085. If they get back up into balance, if they get above there, things could get very bullish very quickly. But the higher probability is that they won't be able to get back in there and we'll just rotate around. So keep that in mind as you get up there near that balance area low. As far as to the downside, you got support around the opening price, 11,860, and then down here basically at the low, 11,800. If that breaks, you're heading down to the overnight low. But it looks like chop suey. And then, of course, as I mentioned on the ES, same thing here. If we break the low, the current A period low, we're likely heading down to test that overnight low, which is weak. So sorry I don't have any more insights than that. We're kind of stuck in the middle here. But I wish you the best of luck, and I will see you here tomorrow morning. If you are a member of the brigade, I shall see you in the private stream. Thank you all very much and have a great rest of your day. Feel free to hit that thumbs up on the way out.